We're on.
And now we are on.
Yes. Okay. There's the red light. And so we want to say good morning to everybody.
Yes, we're glad to be with you today. And today we're going to really talk to each other
And to you, of course.
with you sitting in with us.
And our subject today, as it probably says on the screen somewhere, is staying strong in tough times.
Yes. And, you know, there are a lot of tough times. We both like sports.
Yes.
And we haven't been able to watch sports.
Well, and
that's tough for people that like sports.
Well, it is. And nobody can go to them because stadiums don't allow people in should the team be playing.
So you're talking to them instead of me.
Well, this time let's talk to them until we get to what we want to say
get it
about.
Straight here.
We're just cataloging for us some of the tough times. We can't ignore the fact that the COVID-19 has rearranged many, many lives, some of them in happy ways, unexpected ways, some of them really difficult.
Yeah, people that were wanting to get married lost their venues and they couldn't get people together. And then, it's been very inconvenient for people that wanted to go on with things like they were. But also it's been tragic with some families, hundreds of thousands of families that have lost a loved one.
Yes.
And then there's the whole idea of the work loss that they don't need those people anymore. And as one person that I was looking at today on the news, he's 64 and he doesn't really know if he can find another job after this.
Well, and that frustration of working from home, which is a change for many people, just adds to the difficulty of rearranging your life. And then for people with school-age children, there's all the uncertainty and frustration of how to educate your children in these times.
And I want to add the whole idea of grief in the sense that people, when someone dies, they can't even be by their bedside if it's COVID-19.
Yes,
and I'm reading about Dak Prescott's brother who committed suicide, the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. His brother committed suicide in April. And how can you gather people to lift Dak and the family members up when you can't get together and you can't do those things? So.
Well, and just the mere fact that hugs are not permitted by lots of people. You do the elbow bump or a virtual hug and send good thoughts.
And churches can't meet. And
yes.
And then there's the money thing.
So there are a lot of difficulties for families these days, and we thought we would share today some of our opinions on staying strong during difficult times. Perhaps we didn't say the difficulty that is on your heart today about what's making this hard, but there are lots of people we know who are shouldering exceptional and unusual difficulties. And so for couples and families today, here are some of our opinions on what keeps you strong in a difficult time.
And because we've chosen this, we want to dialogue, which we actually are doing it intentionally so that you might do the same thing, because we'll be talking about that. But anything that is going on, we want to say this, you need to talk about it with your partner. Okay.
So what do you think is one way to stay strong in your own personal difficult times?
Well, I think it's been very helpful to us to have structure. That we have sort of built around us a routine that we do on a daily basis. And that includes from getting up in the morning, having our stand-up, full-bodied hug, and when we both get up and they're in the kitchen,
Start the day.
Start the day with a hug and a kiss, and I really like that, and
I do too.
and I've appreciated it through the years that we do that. But that's just part of the day. And today you weren't in the kitchen when I came down, so I couldn't get that hug.
And you missed it?
I missed it. So when you did come back, I was already seated here.
And you got up.
I got up and we hugged and we took care of that. Yes.
That's part of this structure for you. That's good.
It's a simple thing, but it is important. And then the whole idea of the daily routine that we have our coffee, and because we currently take a newspaper, who knows?
Read the newspaper.
They cost so much. But anyway, we read the newspaper and talk about the news of the day and what we remembered, and the tennis matches of last night, and our visit with friends that we had yesterday. So we do those things as sort of a review of where we've just been and what we've just done and what we're getting ready to do. We review the day that's ahead of us. So that helps.
Put it into a structure.
And then we have a Bible reading and prayer and time together. Take our vitamins.
Yes, and also we each do exercise as part of the day.
Yes, I walk. You do jazzercise, and then we come back together for lunch, and then we do our
puzzle.
Well, our domino game, which I don't really want to talk about because you're currently way too far ahead. It's not fair, and something is. Maybe you have them fixed or something. I'm not sure what that is.
Well, I want to say something about structure too.
Okay.
Because I think it's important to children that there be some kind of structure, especially in a time that may be different from what you have experienced before.
Okay.
Because I think structure gives identity to the family.
All right.
Children are quick to say, well, this is a tradition. We always do this after lunch on Sunday.
Oh, yes, that's true.
And because they're so
our daughters did
so quick to do it, I think children need a sense of structure for their identity.
Well, we actually our first daughter was very, very strict on structure.
Yes, she still is.
Yes. But she wanted to know what we were going to do that day, and we would tell her. And then if we got it out of order, she remembered that, and so I thought we were going to do such and such next. So to me, that was humorous, but it indicated that structure was important to her.
Well, besides structure being a way to stay strong in difficult times, I want to mention one that I think is very important, and it builds on what you were just saying.
Okay.
And that is, you need to talk about the difficulties.
Yes.
Some people find that hard to do and try to just shoulder the difficulty and tough it out and be very stoic. I think talking about it lessens its impact on you and its hold over you.
If one feels that, or maybe both feel it, but they don't know how to begin, what do we need to say to get started on talking about it?
I think you need to keep good I talk, the pronoun I. I'm feeling very frustrated about my job right now.
Okay.
And I'm afraid I may sometimes be taking it out on you or other people. It's not about you, it's the job.
All right.
And I'd like to talk to you about my frustrations about the job. I know you can't fix it, but I just want you to listen.
Would you listen?
Staying on I talk is a good way in with, I need to tell somebody about my feelings.
Well, and right along with it is what we're doing here, knee to knee, turn toward each other so that you are eye to eye. That way you're not looking at your phone and you're not looking at the television.
And you can listen better, really hear the other person's feelings, and then you can empathize better.
Well, and be able to say back what you hear them say.
Yes.
so they will know that they've been heard.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I like that
Well,
very
what's
much.
another way of staying strong?
Well, for me, it's honoring the relationship in a daily manner. This relationship is so important, and therefore it needs to be a priority, which says that you give it the time that you can with the duties that you have.
Mm-hmm.
But honoring it means that we respect each other. And I think that in respecting, that includes common courtesies. Thank you, and excuse me. Whatever that you need to say in a courtesy way.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that. And saying appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
That's an honor. And
well, I think a way of honoring the relationship is to have a couple talk time.
Okay.
I think that's a part of our structure that
Yes.
I didn't hear you mention.
Well, I didn't get
me.
to that. I never
you
got
didn't do
past
the whole
lunch.
Day.
I just got to lunch.
Okay.
But that is usually after lunch.
For us, it is.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a really...
Unless we're interrupted with other activities. Like yesterday,
yes.
We didn't get to do that in the same way because we went to help our daughter do
volunteer
work with the flags that she's doing
yes.
in Arlington.
Yes.
But that was really good to do.
Well, it was. But to have a couple talk time every day where you don't try to solve problems,
right.
You don't talk about the difficulties, you talk to each other about your relationship, about where you are.
And just to put a plug in, we've been using our book, Marriage for the Everyday, which has an easy way to talk to each other on a daily basis. Each page has something that you can do on a daily basis, which you can get on Amazon.
That's true.
Yes.
But having a couple talk time, whatever way you do it, where you talk about your own relationship and how it's going, that to me has been a real strength. And especially during difficult times when sometimes your heart is really heavy.
Yes.
And to know that someone is on your side,
right.
Someone is listening, someone cares, is just so helpful. And as leaders of the family, the couple talk time, I think, is just imperative.
Well, I agree. And I want to add to that, if there are children in the home, a daily talk time with each child in one way or another, I think could be really important.
Right.
Because it really bothers me about Dak Prescott's brother committing suicide. During a pandemic, he needed to talk to people. I don't know the details of it, but that would have been helpful if he had someone to talk with. And
to share how you're feeling is important to do.
And because
it lessens the impact of the difficulty.
Yes, and because it would be done on a daily basis, it's a part of routine, it would be easy to talk to a person like that, and the children included. And when they go back to school, there are going to be things to talk about.
Yes. Very important to do. The last one we want to deal with that I think is important, a strength for tough times and how to get through them, is to identify some goals, if that's not too strong a word, some goals or some changes, some accomplishments that you would like to do during this time.
Yes.
That gives some energy, not only to your activities, but to the relationship itself, if they are some couple goals. So just identifying some things that you would like to do, that you would like to accomplish during this time, helps with household tasks. It helps with projects that you're doing, and it helps with a team spirit when you're doing some of these together.
It could be a decluttering kind of thing, or as we have done, we've been doing some Zoom memorial services when some friend had died.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing some of those things, we've picked out some hymns and various things that we would like to have at our own memorial service. And so one of the things you could do is plan your funeral so that you've got that done. I did it with my sister when she had a brain tumor, and later on, she couldn't have told us those things. And so it was really important to do. And you need to do it maybe with your parents if you have elderly parents. So try to do things ahead of schedule that can be done over the phone.
Well, you mentioned clutter also.
I said decluttering.
Decluttering, okay. One of the things we've done during these enforced stay-at-home times is to go through sacks and boxes of old photographs, and categorize them and give them to the people that would want to see them and would want to have them.
Right.
And that I just felt such a sense of accomplishment when we actually decluttered years of photographs and gave them to the people who would really like to look at them.
And our grandchildren have appreciated them as much as anyone because they hadn't seen all those of themselves.
And the grandchildren's significant others have even enjoyed them.
Yes.
That's just an example of some project that the two of you can do together or the family can do, depending on the project. But it gives not only some structure to these difficult times, it gives some energy when you're working on something together.
So let me just say this, that I hope you will choose to talk with your partner and that you will indicate what do you think helps us to be strong in tough times. And that can be so valuable to your relationship. And we hope to see you again.
Yes.
So the phone has ringed.
With us this
It is
morning.
time to say goodbye.